Hi, hi everybody. Good day. This is Raf from the Philippines, and I'd love to share our story with you. Um, so just allow me to share slides. By the way, I'm an entrepreneur, and I work with a lot of communities. I fortunately or unfortunately live in one of the countries that is most vulnerable to climate change, the Philippines. We're practically number one. And I'd like to share with you this quick story about the indigenous community that I work with. In this photo, they're talking to a big business, and the business is offering them money so that in exchange for land. And the elders are talking and saying, you know what? For us indigenous people, we would also like progress. However, the idea of progress that you in your company or in the city speak of is different from the idea of progress that we indigenous people have. For us, progress means taking care of our land and our sea. And that kind of framework is not very common. Businesses generally aren't interested in taking care of land and sea. And so it's very important for us to listen to these elders, because these are the lessons that I hope we all get to learn from. And the key thing that we have to remember is that the environment can help the community stay strong, right? And so I want to share with you my environmental story. I was trekking in this area a couple of years ago, and I thought that the mountains were so beautiful. So I took a picture and I posted it online. As soon as I posted it online, some of my friends started commenting. And one lady said, that mountain behind you definitely needs some reforestation. Look how bare it is. Then another guy said, she's right, that hill has lost most of its topsoil. So I didn't know much, so I had to research. And when I finally did do the research, what I found was that in the last 120 years, the Philippines had lost most of its rainforest, from 70% primary rainforest. Those are huge, huge 200-foot trees, to less than 3% today. You can see it in the photo. One of the effects, and this is an effect that we don't often know about, is that it gets a lot hotter, right? Without the trees, it warms up, and the rainforest is actually called the rainforest because it creates rain. It makes it rain almost every day, right? And we lose that effect as well. And so this picture shows very clearly what it's like to go through a road with trees and a road without trees. The road with trees has a ground temperature of 33 degrees Celsius. You can see it there. While the road without trees has a ground temperature of 66 degrees Celsius. That's a big difference, right? And when you guys are waiting for your friends or having a picnic, I'm sure you wait in the shade. I mean, who doesn't, right? I'm sure your parents, when they park their cars, it's under the shade. And the people who are paying paying the price of the lack of forest and its destruction are farmers. And in my country and in countries around the world, drought and extreme heat are spreading, and it's killing our crops. Crops can't grow without water. And so when it comes to water specifically, two of the rivers in the Philippines represent a story happening around the globe. In the last 75 years, these rivers have lost 75% of their water. Isn't that crazy, right? And it's not just our rivers. There are rivers in the US, rivers in Europe, all over, that are starting to run out of water. And while there's no water in the rivers, unfortunately, that water flows up into the sky. And when it's in the sky, it's dropped down like a faucet opening from the heavens. So you can see this. This is a category 4 or 5 storm. These things didn't exist when I was a child. All I knew was category 3. But today, the floods are really damaging, and it scares a lot of people. So I'm sure you might have seen pictures of flooding similar to this. It doesn't happen only in the Philippines. It also happens in countries like China or in Germany or in the US, or perhaps even in your own town, or you have friends who have suffered from it. It's a global phenomenon, and we're all suffering from this. And so this next video, I'd like to show you what the mountains with forests do for you, right? So we have two boxes here. The box on your left is a simulation of a mountain with soil, but no trees planted in it. While the box on the right is a simulation or example of a mountain with trees. So watch. What happens to the water? What do you notice? The box on the left has water flowing very quickly from the top pipe, and it brings with it a lot of soil. That's why the water's dark. That's a flash flood. That's a landslide. Meanwhile, on the right box, the water's dripping from the bottom pipe, which means the water made it all the way down. That's through the roots of the plant. And the water is flowing down very predictably, very slowly, and it's clean, right? That's a river, that's a stream, or that might be the waterfall that you visit, right? Now that no one's watering the boxes anymore, this is an example of the summer season. The box on your left has no water flowing. That's a dry riverbed. And the box on your right, water is still flowing at the same pace it flowed in the rainy season, right? That's the magic of the forest. And that's what it does for you and me. So this takes us to a valley which I often visit. You can see in the picture that some of the mountains are brown. That's because they recently burned. In fact, they burn every year because there are no trees left. It's so hot. And yes, there are some kids playing in that valley. And so my friends and I wanted to do something about it. And so we thought, hey, let's plant trees so that we can ensure there's water, so that we can fight climate change, absorb some carbon. And so what we did, we actually worked with the Aitas. They're an indigenous community in the Philippines, in the province of Zambales, and we studied reforestation. And so after studying reforestation in another part of the country, we saw how water was great. And because of the water, there were so many fruits, so many products all around us. The temperature was amazing. I asked the elders, hey, so what do you think? Do you want to do a forest? This is what they said.
Sa pinagdalhan niyo sa amin sir, dahil dito na namin nakita yung hindi na kikita sa Zambales, saka yung mga
So this is what they said.
sa pinagdalhan niyo sa amin sir, dahil dito na namin nakita yung hindi na kikita sa Zambales, saka yung mga ano nila na produkto nila dito na magaganda sir, na wala doon sa Zambales.
Ikaw,
Po talagang hindi na matuto, talagang gawin na ito. Dito na talaga ang nakita ang development nila. Papatunayan na ito.
oh man.